Hi, I'm Zach Pratt, and welcome back to another one of Zack Explains, Not Complains. So today I'm here to talk about budgeting, since we're right into that time of year when everybody's thinking about their budgets and how they might get ready for next year. A lot of you may already be in your budget year, so this is a presentation I put on for the Bureau of Land Management when I was working as an outdoor recreation wilderness planner. So the thing about budgeting is is it an art or a science? And really, it's a little bit of both. But for the budgeting for the Take It Outside program, which is really the flagship program for the Bureau of Land Management to get people outside on the land and working, I put this together to give as webinars to the national group at Bureau of Land Management. So what is a budget? Well, everybody cringes when they think about doing budget and keeping within the lines, but I'm going to show you how I think it's rather easy and straightforward to do it. It's just taking the time to put things together. So first, one of the things is you got to consider control. And by control, I mean how the money will be spent and what are the reporting procedures for that. I mean, who's going to keep track of that? Where's it going to go? And who are you going to show or report what the money is that you spent or received? So either your revenue or your expenses. And really, it's where the money's coming from. So within the Bureau and with the city of Rutland and anywhere usually that have lots of amounts of accounts and money, they actually have account numbers tied to where the money's going. So it was the same for me in the Bureau of Land Management. Whenever I did a program, I had to keep track of the funding source, the revenue, and the expenses. So that's the management part of this. So my job was really to make sure that the monies were allocated where they said they were going to go. I mean, you couldn't go outside the budget. And that's what I work to do, and I tell you it's not always fun. And sometimes it's a challenge because when you're doing a pro forma budget in advance, things change, monies change. Costs of things go up, costs of things go down. So it's sort of that's the art or science part of this. The next thing is planning. Well, really, I would get together a whole group of people, and we'd really look at a whole year's worth of events. And I had people from other organizations come together to join me on this, from the Forest Service, from the town, from private businesses, and determine what it was that we needed for the purchase and the people that we needed to run the programs. So trees placed in a desert. This was my first program that I ran as an outdoor recreation planner for the Bureau of Land Management. I just got started there in the emergency stabilization and rehabilitation side of the Bureau of Land Management, and I was responsible for an $8 million budget, taking care of the money that was allocated for 60 different wildfires that had come through the district in previous years. So this shows a little program that I put together on Sherman Creek where we planted trees to reinforce and help stabilize that creek bed. I couldn't find any of the recent photos. I know I have some of the trees and how well they did, but it's getting people out there to take part in the land. So you see some of the trees had to be carried back over a mile, so we had a horse, and we load the horse up with trees, and the guy would take them up the path so they could be planted along the stream bed. So this is a real easy budget. So the whole budget for this thing was $1,700. That's what I assumed it was going to cost. You can see there what the supplies cost, the trees cost. You know, we always have porta potties. If we think there's going to be at least 25 people, we provide porta potties and a pannier. And a pannier is what goes on the horse's back that we put the trees on so they can be carried out the mile distance. So as you see, Down there in yellow, we actually saved 7631. We came in under budget on that one, so that was pretty good. The next one I'm going to talk about are 6 different budgets I did for events I held in 2011. And up in the left-hand corner, you can see a bunch of kids and some paper on the table. So that was a paintbrush and bucket relay I made, and the kids really enjoyed it. So I thought, well, we can't really use paint to do this, so I got some small buckets and some paintbrushes and put some colored paper up, and we did the same on the opposite side. And I don't know, they're about 20 feet, maybe 30 feet that the kids ran back and forth to take some water out of their bucket on a brush and stroke it across the piece of paper and then go back to the other side and hand it to one of their partners on the other side. And there on the bottom right, you can see us planting trees along the river that's in Carlin Canyon, again as riverbank reinforcement. So here, and this probably come up small on your screen, but this shows all of the public land budget for that one event. If you look just down the screen to below or above the take it outside, you see all the different categories I have on my Excel spreadsheet. So this was for national public lands, and then take it outside 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there's actually 6 events that are going to take place here. So this one, we had fencing and bird boxes, materials for bird boxes, and safety vest, paint buckets, tablecloths, tables, gloves, chairs, all sorts of things to put on this event. So, and then you also see how much it cost for the bird, the plywood that we had, and all the stuff that went into this. So our target budget for this was $1,500, and it looks like we came out $166 or $86. I need to put my glasses on here. That would probably help. So we came out where we spent more than what we thought we were going to, but this was the first of 6. So the total event with donations, and we always had people that were donating to our programs, came in at $1,350. So the whole event cost $3,036.18. But in that, we picked up 1 gravel pit dump site. We planted 48 trees. We had 125 volunteers. We removed 12 tons of trash, repaired 6 miles of cleanup, and 3 miles of fence. So we also, I have at the bottom, heard 1,000 laughs that were had during this whole event. It was a good event. The next one I did was in the city, put together at the city park a program where we brought kids out. So we went to Walmart and picked up some games and stuff. One of them was, I forget the ladder game. Anyways, you have a string with a couple of bean bags on it, and you toss it over it, and then you score. So that was one of the games we bought. And we also bought some soccer balls and stuff, so we put up some little things for them to kick the ball around and move the ball around. We had tables for people to sit at. It was a potluck, so people brought their own food, and we had a really good time there in the city park on this one. This next one was a pickup, a garbage type stuff all along the side of the road. Again, we had another area that we went to, so we set up a canopy and had somebody come in and do that for us so we could get some shade, garbage bags, you can see that. So the project had a $700 target, but we saved $340 on this one, so we came in under budget on this project. So this is our third event, and this was a hike up in the mountains. So here you can see I broke out the items, the gear, backpack, compasses, because we had a bunch of Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts come out, and we wanted to show them how to orienteer, filter water, and we had some tarps so we could set up a little camp. And over on the right-hand side, you can see really what some of the things were: whistles, For if you get lost, you can blow, or if you see a bear or a mountain lion, you can sound a warning. So those are all the things that we went for and hope to have on it. Show people how to use MSR pocket rocket, which is just a little stove, disposable lamps, and our target budget was $700, and we actually went over by $94.18. This next budget, we got a laser pointer. It was a star gazing program where people from the community came out. They set up their scopes, and we pointed them up at the sky so that people could come and actually look through that to see stars out there and the moon and Mars, whatever was out there. So we used the laser pointer to point out like the Big Dipper, the Small Dipper, and all those different constellations out there. So at that, we had a lot of people show up, and what we found, everybody had these new programs where you take and put your camera at the sky, and it could tell you what planets or what constellation you're looking at. So we had so much lighted that it was affecting the telescope, so we had to ask the people to turn their phones off. So our target budget was $300, and it only cost us $63.16, so we had a savings there of $236.84. Our next project was a snowshoe hike, and we did a number of different snowshoe hikes, but this was one of our first ones. So I had three people that didn't have sets of snowshoes that were working for us. They were AmeriCorps interns. So we picked up the snowshoes for them, and they also have snowshoes that they have tails on them. I guess what that does is gives them more length so they could be supported on the snow better. So we had a budget of $700 for that one. And again, we came in under budget. So we're doing pretty well, and we had a lot of fun. We use those for more than just this one hike too. So this stuff goes back to a storage room that we had at the BLM office where we put this stuff back into service. So the next time, so any other program we had, and we had multiple midnight snowshoe hikes, and we started out with, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 people, and ended up having over 100 people come out to these programs. So here is the final budget, where it shows what our targets were, what we actually spent on each one, and here, when I tell you about account codes, here are the account codes that we use for the money. So I forget what all these numbers stand for, but they had specific accounts that we could get the money from, put the money into, and take the money out of. So that was one. And then this was another one from the National Public Land Day. They actually have funding that you can apply for a grant. So we got $1,000 from them to use towards this event. So when we add all this stuff up, we come out with a budget where we're over budget by $117.24 for this. So one of the things you can see at the top is the AmeriCorps interns that we had out there. They cost a little bit more than what we expected. And you can see by the programs, what I just went through, how much we saved or how much we're over from the previous year. So with $11,000, we actually came in $117 over budget. So what that means is the account on the top here, which just disappeared, that is where we went and got the extra $117 from. So that's how that budget worked. So taking a recap of this, really, we did the controlling as best we could, and like I say, there are times when you go to purchase items, like you probably know, you look at it, you plan ahead for it, and by the time you get there to spend money on something, the cost has gone up. Well, that happens. But we did follow the budget. We bought and purchased what we thought we were going to. We held the activities. We had quite a few people come out and join us at those events. One of them we had over 125 people for. So our event went well. The timing, we had everything that we needed for the programs. When the programs were held, we had the people there in place. And we also built in 5 to 8% for unexpected costs, basically. So that was the whole purpose of Take It Outside, was to get people recreating on the land. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about in the upcoming programs is planning. This was the budget portion of it, which really is a little bit out of step because should have done the planning first. And this is where you look at, well, who is it that you want to come out? Who are the families? What are the resources you have? What kind of ideas you have? So when you have people that are coming and taking part and part of a board or a group getting together to plan these activities, it can get out of control really fast. So really, me as the lead had to take control and ensure that we were staying with what it was for each one of these events that we planned. And they all turned out fine. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the planning session and sections behind it with all the meetings that we had and assigning responsibilities and where they were going to be held and all that stuff. So I get into that in the next Take It Outside activity. So planning will be next. And then marketing. So in marketing, Take It Outside activities, this is the standard product, price, promotion, and place of marketing. So we always thought about, well, what is it that we want to provide for our product? And in this case, it was getting people out on the land doing a variety of different activities. And then the pricing, which is what we just did with the budget part. Like I said, this is a little bit backwards, but we will talk about, how much we think this stuff is going to cost. We do research into what it was cost, and then we put the budget together. So then once you get that done, we did the promotion part of it, which is getting out to the locals and doing mailings and putting stuff on the Bureau's website and just talking it up. I went on the local city station, did a lot of promotion for these programs. And then place, like I said, where's it going to be held? So one was held in the city park, one was held out at Carlin Canyon, one was held up in the Lamoille Canyon. So we moved these things all around for a number of reasons. One is it depended upon where we were doing the activity. So if we wanted to have snow and stuff like that, really we went up into the mountains. So, it just depends on place. And then we did the city activity, which we wanted to get people from right in Elko to come out to the event. So that was the other portion of it, the place. So this was the last slide, and that's me, and that address and phone number is no longer there, but as the outdoor recreation planner for the Bureau of Land Management, it was a great job. I enjoyed what I was doing. I enjoyed all the people that I met and had a great time doing it. So those last two slides are what I'm going to come back to and go over that in some more detail in my next upcoming events. So stay tuned, have fun, get outdoors. That's what I like to see people do. So go out there and have a blast in what I consider a typical Vermont winter. So get your snow shovel, snow plow, skis, buckets, shovels, whatever you slide down the hill on, and get out there and do some sliding and kicking up snow. And the snow the other day was perfect for snowmen. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.